How's it going, everyone? I hope you had a fantastic holidays, and I hope that you got to spend some time with your family doing the things that you love. It is the holidays, and I'm sure you want to buy a fragrance for you or somebody that you love. It can really be anybody. But today we're going to be looking at 20 different fragrances under $50. So all of these are fantastic value for the money. I don't think anybody's going to be complaining, and I think you are going to love them. So stick around. You don't want to miss any of these. So let's get started. So starting off at number 20, we're looking at a fragrance that I talked about quite a while ago. It's not a new one, but I really came around to it and I have fallen in love with it again. This is Latafa's Kamra. So Kamra is a twist on By Kilian's Angel Share. Now that is a relatively new DNA that has really taken the world by storm, and ever since that came out, there have been a ton of knockoffs, a bunch of spin-offs, and it's almost as revolutionary as something like Creed Aventus. So once something really revolutionary comes out, you're gonna have a lot of people cloning it. But I love this one because it takes it in a little bit of a different direction, and you're looking at a little bit more of a creamy, a little bit more vanillic kind of take to that original DNA. So there's tons of tobacco, you have the cognac, and man, there's also an addition of some really interesting kind of creamy fruits in here. So the way that this just sticks off the skin smells amazing. It is one of the most intense and strong fragrances on this list, and often I can find myself smelling it well over 14 hours into the next day. In fact, I have a sweater that's sitting across from me on my bed right now, and I still smell it, and I sprayed it a couple days ago. But this stuff smells truly incredible, and it is a bestseller for a reason. And the best thing about it is it's about 40 bucks, and that's Latafa's Kamra. So number 19 on this list, we're looking at a fragrance. Who is this by? I don't even see the name of the... What the hell? At the number 19 spot, we're looking at a relatively new fragrance house. This one's from the house of Flavia, and this one is Limpression Perfumes. So this is a twist on Louis Vuitton's L'Immensité. I want to say that's what it's called. I kind of forgot the name of the fragrance, but this stuff smells absolutely incredible. It's a little bit reminiscent of Bulgari's Tigars. So you have that really fresh kind of invigorating grapefruit and ginger, but also it has a really nice addition of some of that kind of aquatic sage. So it smells a little bit sporty, but it just smells absolutely incredible in the air. And while this is more of a kind of summer fragrance, I would say, it smells really good in the winter. So in the colder weather, it kind of pushes off a little bit more. That rosemary kind of comes out, and those kind of more herbaceous kind of green notes really take the forefront, and it just smells absolutely incredible in the air. And I feel like I also get a little bit of maybe like some sandalwood in here. So it's a really interesting kind of office friendly fragrance that smells absolutely incredible. So if you like that kind of citrusy vetiver fragrance, this is going to be your best friend. And that's Flavia's Limpression. At number 18, we have Latafa's Wazir. So this is one of my favorites out of the kind of deer head collection. A lot of these are reminiscent of the Panadora fragrances, so they're kind of spin-offs, a little bit of a take on those fragrances, but I absolutely love this one because to me, it just smells like a powerful, fruity kind of gourmand bomb with a little bit of iris in there as well. But man, on the dry down, you have that kind of raspberry, kind of chocolate gourmand and caramels in there, but it also has a nice kind of orange, bergamot, and mint up top. So I said it in a previous video, it almost has a tea-like quality to it. And also with the kind of amber and the musks and woods and the dry down, it just smells ultra high quality, and it's a little bit cloying in the opening. You have to give it about 20 minutes for it to really settle down and to start appreciating it. But once you get past that kind of really bright citrusy opening, it smells beautiful. It's powdery, it's chocolatey, and it just has all of that wonderful plethora of fruits and those kind of woody notes. So this one is absolutely fantastic for the winter and for the fall, and I think it's around $20, so you really shouldn't sleep on this one. And it's slowly become one of my all-time favorite winter and fall fragrances, especially under $20. Amazing stuff. And that's Latafa's Eternal Oud. Number 17 on this list is actually from a relatively affordable fragrance house. Do not pay the $80 that the fragrance outlets are trying to sell these for. Pay around the $15 to $30 that you might find it online. This is Marada's Hashtag. So Marada is one of those affordable brands that you'd sometimes see pop up in the rack stores, but this one, that was a really satisfying pop. This one's got a really interesting cinnamon tobacco, and I feel like I also get maybe like a cherry vibe in here. It kind of reminds me of one of the Guerlain fragrances, and a little bit of Kaltat Night by the Attar collection. So you have some really interesting kind of patchouli, some darker gourmand notes in here, but at the same time, it's very mature. You have that tobacco kind of sweetness in the background, maybe a little bit of vetiver in here too. But all in all, this is a great, affordable fragrance, and it lasts quite a while too. And that is Marada's Hashtag. Number 16 on this list is a John Varvatos fragrance, and this is one of the best designer fragrances that you can get for under $40. This is John Varvatos Vintage. So like the name suggests, this smells very masculine. It's a very vintage kind of throwback fragrance. So it's got a lot of patchouli, sandalwood, a little bit of oak moss, but at the same time, it's very green, herbaceous, and kind of reminds me of a fall cabin in the woods. So you have some kind of musky, kind of woody overtones to it, but at the same time, it's very old and just kind of smoky smelling also. I think I described it as somebody smoking a tobacco pipe sitting on their front porch kind of overlooking the forest. So that's exactly what I get with this one, and I love how it smells. You also get a little bit of a leather kind of touch from it, but ultimately this is a fantastic vintage throwback fragrance that doesn't smell super old school. It's just kind of a nod to the previous generation. You can get a full 125 ml bottle like this for around $40, and that's John Varvatos Vintage. So number 15 on this list is a celebrity fragrance. I know, that's kind of interesting. I haven't really talked too much about those, frankly, because some of them are just kind of lackluster, but this one really caught my attention. This is Cristiano Ronaldo's Legacy Private Edition. So this one has a really interesting kind of maple syrup vibe up top, and it also has a little bit of neroli, and it's very heavy on the tonka. So it's very vanillic, very tonka heavy, slightly nutty, but it is ultimately a gourmand fragrance for men, and I absolutely love how this one projects off my skin. And it also has a little bit of moss and some amber in here and some musks that really kind of tie it down and just make it a little bit more well-rounded. But to me, this is a very dark and gourmand fragrance that is perfect for this kind of weather, and it will project off your skin. And this is a really, really good kind of value if you can find it for under $40 or so. I think I'd be willing to pay 50 bucks for it, but it's been getting a little bit harder to find online, but I have seen it for about $30 online. So if you want something a little bit syrupy, a little bit floral, but with a nice kind of vanillic, kind of nutty sandalwood in the base, I think this is a perfect choice for you. Not to mention, it's got a magnetic cap. That's what we like to see. And that's Cristiano Ronaldo's Legacy Private Edition. Number 14 on this list shares a little bit of that gourmand quality, and this one is Swiss Arabian's Shagaf Oud Azrak. So this one is a fantastic offering from Swiss Arabian. I have to say this is one of my favorite Shagaf flankers. This one is a spin on Montal's Honey Oud. So if you love that honey, the oud, and the kind of vanillic kind of nuttiness, this is going to be your friend. It smells absolutely incredible, and the honey here just smells a little bit floral, a little bit sweet, but ultimately it is fantastic for this weather, and it projects like crazy. I love wearing this one because it kind of smells a little bit like a honey cinnamon roll. So you have some of those cinnamon spices, you have that really dark kind of pleasing quality to it, and it just smells really romantic. And this is a perfect date night fragrance. So a little bit softer, but at the same time, it's definitely a little bit sweeter. So sweet and soft, and the quality is definitely stepping up from some of the previous ones. And that's Shagaf Oud Azrak. Next up on this list is Fragrance World's Divin Oud. So this is a Roja Amber Oud kind of clone. So this smells absolutely amazing for the price, and it smells way more expensive than it really is. I think it's around the $40 to $50 mark, depending on where you find it, but this is a masterpiece. It's 100 ml, and it smells very, very close to the original kind of Roja Oud fragrances. So all of those oud fragrances, it kind of captures that very kind of thick resinous oud without smelling too barnyard-like. It definitely does have a bit of an animalic kind of tone, but it adds some of that amber, some of that vanillic sweetness, and it just smells very similar to the Roja Oud that they use. So I don't know what they're doing in this one, but it smells maybe 90% close to the original, and it's a great layering fragrance, and I actually like to wear it with the authentic Roja Oud. So it kind of boosts the performance on this one, and it's kind of a nice way to not work my way through the bottle too fast for this really expensive one. Really good stuff here. It's very high quality smelling and just very velvety, luxurious, and smells incredible. That's Fragrance World's Divin Oud. Number 12 on this list is a brand new release from Latafa, and this is Latafa's Vintage Radio. So this is an Initio Paragon clone. So I think in my original review I said it was a Rahab clone. This is not. This is a Paragon clone. So it smells absolutely breathtaking. This is probably one of the highest quality fragrances in this list, and I have got so many compliments and people asking me what I wear just because of this one. So this is definitely slept on, and definitely pick it up, especially if you see it for under $40. Jomashop sometimes has it for 35 bucks, but pricing aside, this smells absolutely amazing. It smells kind of like a musky, marshmallowy bergamot. So you have that vanilla, the amber, the musk, and it just has a little bit of that creamy Palo Santo adding to that kind of creaminess, that white quality. But oh man, it also has some plum in here that makes it smell very fruity, very creamy, and it just smells like one of the greatest fragrances of all time. And best of all, it lasts well over 12 hours, and that is Latafa's Vintage Radio. Number 11 on this list is also a new Latafa release, and this one is Latafa Azoa. So this is a little bit of a polarizing fragrance. Some people say they love it, some people say they hate it. I particularly love this one. This one really reminds me of Christmas, and some people have said that it kind of reminds them of just old Raisin Bran, and I kind of like it. It smells a little bit wheat-like, it's a little bit gourmand, but it has a really nice spicy cinnamon and some oriental kind of qualities to it, but it also has a really interesting dried date note. So it has that kind of fruity undertone and like a cereal accord. I can't really quite put my finger on it, but it just smells like sexy Raisin Bran. It's kind of hard to describe, but it smells like the holidays, and it's really worth the price. I think I got it for around 40 bucks, but the bottle is really interesting looking, and the presentation is one of the best that I've seen from a Middle Eastern fragrance. But if you love the note of date, I think you're gonna like this one, and especially because it has that spice. And that one is Latafa's Azoa. Number 10 is Maison Alhambra's Tobacco Touch. So this one is a Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille clone, and it smells very, very similar. You have that blast of ginger, that kind of vanillic sweetness that really reminds me of sort of a fall kind of family dinner. It's got a little bit of a smokiness from that tobacco, but it's really dense, it's dark, but that ginger and clove really do cut through. So I think the clove is a little bit more strong and intense on this one, and it's kind of one of those notes that'll make or break a fragrance for me. I don't typically wear this one because I'm not the biggest fan of clove, but I think it smells very high quality, and I think if you love that original tobacco vanille DNA, I think you're really gonna like this one. And just be aware that the ginger and the clove is really strong in this one, but if you're down with that, I think you'll like this one. Really solid performer on this one, and its longevity is around the 11-hour mark, so it's pretty dang long, and it smells really fantastic the whole way. And that's Maison Alhambra's Tobacco Touch. So we are halfway through the video. If you've made it this far, please consider liking or subscribing so you can see more fragrance related content and hidden gems like these. So on with the video. So my number 9 spot is actually a fragrance that I bought from one of my new friends down in Sacramento. This is Shar Perfumes Oud Wesal. So Shar Perfumes is a really interesting kind of hidden gem of a fragrance outlet. They have a lot of Middle Eastern and niche fragrances, and one of my favorite things to do is get the custom fragrances like this. So all of these fragrances are at least 50% concentration. Sometimes you can get even more if you ask. I've seen people get 70% perfume concentration. So really thick, kind of oily fragrances that last a really, really long time. But you can actually create custom fragrances using his oils and his perfumes. He mixes it all together right in front of you, and you get to kind of choose the bottle. And it's just a really interesting kind of once in a lifetime experience to go to this place. But I absolutely love this one. So this is my buddy Hassan's interpretation of Ajmal's Wesal. So Wesal is a wonderful kind of oud, rose, and incense heavy scent that really smells fantastic, and I actually prefer how this one smells, oddly enough. I think the notes are blended a little bit more well-rounded. It's a little bit more masculine, and I think it just does it absolutely amazing. The rose and the incense just smells incredible, and I find myself just blind grabbing this fragrance at least once a week. So that is kind of a lot, especially with all the fragrances that I have, but I definitely like picking this one up because of how high quality it smells and because I got to see it made right in front of me. So these fragrances you can only pick up in person, or he can actually ship them out to you. So I believe if you're in the US, he can ship them to you. Literally just call this number and tell him, hey, Eli from Common Sense recommended this fragrance and I want to order it. So definitely check this one out and check out that place if you're ever in Sacramento. This is Shar Perfumes Oud Wesal. The number 8 spot, this is actually a fragrance that I wore today as my scent of the day. This is Latafa's Eternal Oud. This is a really interesting take on Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Grand Soir. So it really captures that really nice kind of boozy, vanillic, amber heavy quality. I feel like I get quite a bit of benzoin, so that slightly resinous, vanillic kind of ambery vibe, but it smells absolutely incredible. So this one has a really nice plum in the opening that smells very fruity. It adds a little bit of a depth to the fragrance, but it also has, like I said, that benzoin. It also has a little bit of a nutty kind of labdanum, vanilla, and oud in the base, but I can't help but feel like there's also a little bit of brown sugar, some cinnamon spice in here that just really make it smell perfect for this season. It's a wonderful gourmand date night fragrance like a lot of these, but I think this one does it in a really interesting way, and it has been 14 hours going strong on my sweater. I can still smell it wafting up here, and I sprayed it on like 15 hours ago, so it's kind of crazy. This is one of the best presentations I've seen because you have a really interesting bonsai tree on the kind of bottle itself as well as the cap up here. So really high quality bottle, high quality presentation, and it's perfect gift for anybody. And that's Latafa's Eternal Oud. At the number 7 spot, we have Fragrance World's Barakat Satin Oud. I had to check that for a second. It's hard for me to keep track of these kind of clone names, especially when they're so close to the original fragrance name. It's kind of silly. This is a fantastic alternative to Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Oud Satin Mood. So this one captures the magic of that very vanillic kind of oud and rose fragrance like the original. So you have a couple different roses in here. I don't know if they're the actual kind of roses. I think they're just kind of using that as a marketing tactic, but you smell an amazing high quality smoky rose and agar wood, but with a really nice kind of benzoin and vanilla. But this also has quite a bit of a funky pear note in the opening. So when I first tried this, I thought it was a little bit metallic, a little bit synthetic, kind of a musky mess. But if you give it about 10-15 minutes, it smells absolutely amazing, and it dries down to a fantastic kind of rose oud, dense kind of warm velvety oud that just smells absolutely incredible and radiates off your skin. So give it a little bit of time, and this one will develop and smell incredible around you. The people around you will be asking what you have, and you're just gonna feel and smell amazing. And the best part is it's $20. So that one is Fragrance World's Barakat Satin Oud. So next time you're at one of your local rack stores, be on the lookout for this one. This one is Milestone Perfumes Ombre Leather. So despite this absolutely hideous atrocity of a fragrance bottle that sort of looks like an inbred Tom Ford bottle with a hideous chin, I cannot stress how much I hate this bottle. But I'm willing to overlook that because of the atomizer, super pressurized, high quality, and the quality of the fragrance juice in this bottle. So this one smells like a cross between a few fragrances. It's very similar to Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather, Ombre Leather, and also Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomad. So that really dark, smoky kind of incense, leather, and rose with a little bit of that raspberry touch. I think this one smells absolutely amazing for the price, and I found this one for $15. So for $15, I think this is a wonderful alternative to any of those fragrances, and it lasts a really long time. But I absolutely love the saffron, the incense, and the kind of rose here, a bit with that kind of agar wood and leather in the base. But I think this also has a little bit of an Akigala wood, maybe an amber wood accord in there to give it a little bit of depth, a little bit more of a kind of modern touch, a little bit of a twist that kind of sets it apart from the originals. But I really can't complain for $15, and if you can overlook this hideous bottle, I think this is a hidden gem. And that's Milestone Perfumes Ombre Leather. So at the number 5 spot, this is a wonderful, affordable alternative to Dior Sauvage Elixir. This is Latafa's Asad. So this is a really high quality kind of fragrance, and depending on when you pick this up, it can smell a little bit musky, a little bit synthetic, but I think as the bottle kind of maturates, it's been sitting in my shelf for almost a year, and I think it's smelling a little bit better now that the notes have kind of settled down and it's kind of maturated a little bit. It's got a really interesting kind of pineapple and tobacco up top, but it also has some really nice spicy kind of peppery qualities to it, smelling a little bit oud-like, and there's also a little bit of coffee and patchouli in here. But I think this is a nice kind of twist on that original Sauvage Elixir DNA, and I think this kind of sets itself apart a little bit. Smelling these two side by side, I would say that this is like 90% similar, but it does have a little bit of a difference to it, especially with that kind of coffee and a little bit of that pineapple up top. But Definitely, it's a really nice tobacco ambery fragrance, and it's got quite a bit of depth and a little bit of mystery to this one. And performance is really good too, and especially for around that $20 to $30 mark, I think you cannot go wrong with this one, and that is Latafa's Asad. At the number 4 spot, this is a fantastic, affordable fragrance. This is Latafa's Ameer Al Oud Intense. So if you love the smell of By the Fireplace, this is a fantastic twist on that. So this one has an amazing kind of smoky agarwood up top with a bit of a burnt sugar accord, and the vanilla and the sandalwood smell incredible here. And I just gotta say, this kind of reminds me of taking a walk in the forest when you just kind of smell the burning wood, the kind of burning furnaces, and it just smells like a burning fireplace, burning leaves, just really happy and cozy time. This is a powerful fragrance, and it smells very strong, especially for the $20 that you can pick this up for the 100 ml bottle. But this stuff is amazing, and it is a bestseller for a reason. I think I already said that, but it's true. That is Latafa's Ameer Al Oud Intense. The number 3 spot, we're looking at Maison Alhambra's Kismet for men. So they have Kismet Angel, which is the Angel Share clone. That one's okay, but I think this one smells incredible. You have a really interesting kind of spicy sweet accord, and it has a little bit of cacao and a little bit of patchouli. So definitely a patchouli heavy fragrance, but again, I think the vetiver and the kind of woodsy tones that they have here are absolutely incredible. This one is a fantastic kind of twist on that Wesal Tuxedo DNA. You have that really nice kind of nutmeg and woody accords with that really nice kind of vanillic and dark patchouli in the base. And so this one smells very similar to the Tuxedo DNA, but it does it in a slightly different way that kind of combines it with something like Mont Blanc Explorer with that kind of Akigala wood, the amber wood, and that kind of ambroxan that they do, that little bit of a modern twist to that original DNA. But this one I think is the best of both worlds. And again, you have that patchouli, the chocolate, the cacao, and the coffee too, that smells a little bit kind of powdery, darker, and gourmand. But I love wearing this one in the cold because it really just projects off your skin, and I love wearing this one around the office. This one's a little bit of a confidence booster, and I love smelling this one on my skin. And that's Maison Alhambra Kismet for men. Next up on my list is a Maison Alhambra fragrance that smells very high quality, very masculine, and definitely very mature. This is Maison Alhambra's Ambre Ombre Blue. So this is a twist on Guerlain's Patchouli Ardent, which is a very masculine, kind of classy, old school fragrance that smells a little bit like a sexy funeral home. And I know that sounds kind of macabre, kind of crazy sounding, but I think this smells really, really cool and very old school with a nice kind of twist to it. For some reason, the patchouli and the rose here just really reminds me of just kind of that dark and kind of stormy day. It almost just reminds me of a funeral, but I think it's really cool because it's got a really nice leather, some pepper, musks, and also it's got a little bit of fig up top. So it's got a really kind of floral quality to it that just smells like a nice bouquet of flowers with a nice classy, masculine, mossy backbone to it. Again, this is definitely old school. I don't think that if you love the kind of fresh, aquatic, citrusy stuff, you know, like Davidoff or just any of the bestsellers like YSLY, I don't know if you're gonna love this one. This really isn't for the weak of heart, but if you are willing to take on that challenge of wearing something a little bit more dark, a little bit dense, a little bit macabre, I think this one might be right up your alley. And that one is Maison Alhambra's Ambre Ombre Blue. At the number 1 fragrance spot, we have a fragrance that I just talked about in my last video, and I'm going to talk about it again, keep it quick, but this has quickly become one of my latest signature fragrances, and I think it's one of the best ones you can get for anybody. Just, it's a wonderful blind buy and perfect for a gift. This is Nabeel's Earth. So Earth is a Spirit of Dubai Turath clone, so it's kind of inspired by that, and I gotta say, every time that I have worn this out of the house, I have got compliments by multiple people. There's something absolutely magical about this fragrance. So the quality is absolutely outstanding, and I haven't smelled anything that smells quite this high quality, especially at the under $50 price tag that I paid for this. And I think you can still get it for about 48, 49 bucks on Amazon, so with tax it might put you a little bit over over, but it's still worth every single penny. Man, you just have a beautiful smoky, jammy rose in the opening, and it just has a little bit of like some berries, pineapple, and a plethora of fruity notes. And like the original, it just has a ton of different notes, and it's just blended absolutely well. In addition to that smoky, jammy kind of rose, you have some amazing agarwood, some incense, some patchouli. You have civet, which is a synthetic civet. I saw somebody complaining on the review saying, "Ew, it's made out of cat." It's not. It's fake. And it's also got some cypriol, so it smells very similar to some of the most expensive niche perfumes that use a lot of those kind of dense resinous ouds. And though it does smell like a lot of those expensive niche fragrances, it does it at a fraction of the cost. And I can't quite put my mind around the fact that this costs under $50. Longevity is amazing, and it smells absolutely dark, dense, heavy, and it kind of demands your respect. But I think this is definitely signature scent worthy, and if you wear this, it will give you a boost of confidence. And if you're not at that kind of position that you want at work, I think this will help you elevate your mindset and get you kind of going and elevate your presence and your mood to obtain those kind of things that you want. And that is Nabeel's Earth. Whew, that did it. 20 fragrances that are perfect for this holiday season. They are great for gifts. If you want to get yourself something, you can pick up one of these. If you want to get it for somebody else, I don't think they're going to complain. These are amazing fragrances for the price, and again, they're under $50. So leave a like if any of these have struck your interest, and if you love fragrance related content, because I love making these videos and I'd love to show you some more. Thanks so much for tuning in. I've been Eli with Common Sense, and until the next time, bye-bye. Oh God, no, no, no. Nope, there's too many fragrances on my bed. Oh my God.